Hey yo, what's poppin', B? It's your boy Dave, and we out here doing How to Read Literature Like a Professor. Specifically, chapter 25. Basically, chapter 25 says that it's about symbolism. Now, what's symbolism? Symbolism is where objects and ideas represent a greater meaning which pushes the narrative beyond what is written. In chapter 25, it shows us perfectly with giving an example of symbolism through the simple flea. Now, what's a flea? A flea is like a little bug that like bites your ass and it like sucks out the blood, right? So basically, what this flea did is it bit a guy and it sucked out his blood. Then it bit a girl and it sucked out her blood. And now the guy, he thought that him and the girl were bonded in some way because their blood was connected. So basically, what this guy was doing is he said that that flea represented love. Now, sadly, that guy obviously got friend zoned because the girl just squished the flea. All this guy's getting friend zoned these days. Let's take a trip to the concept of symbolism is immense. As shown, something small can represent something huge, just like the flea with love. Now, something huge can also represent something small. What the fuck are we in the document? All right, let's go. All right, so something small can represent something huge, kind of like with natural disasters or a flood, for instance. Now, basically, what a flood does is that it usually represents like destruction, right? Well, a flood can also represent regrowth. As what happens after a flood? What happens, Nick, after a flood?
Water.
Nah, stupid. And basically what happens after a flood is whoever got affected by the flood, they regrow. Now what happens after that? They become more powerful. So basically...
Until the second flood.
Yeah. Hey, you know, shut up. Okay, so basically what happens after a flood is the process of rebuilding. Because of flood, it causes the one affected in order to become stronger. Something like a flood can simply represent an obstacle that leads to growth. Something so catastrophic and scary can represent something that everybody goes through, which is growth. Have you went through growth, Nicholas?
I
No
guess.
one cares, shut up. Now, the power of symbolism can give you an ability to create a story that has a full depth and meaning, and will cause the reader to think more. It can just be easy to find a piece of symbolism, but it must be in a form of a puzzle. Whether it's shown in a form of a book, it is simply in life. Like, take back to the flood. Like, no, not a lot of people went through a flood, but many people went through growth. The flood is basically the same thing as a growth, right? Right?
Yeah, some.
Alright. In conclusion, the power of symbolism can give you the ability to create a story that is full of depth and will cause the reader to think more. And anyways, oh my god.
Alright, enough of that garbage. Chapter 26. Is he serious? And other ironies. It's all about irony. Now, there are three types of irony that are known to the human race. There's verbal irony, there's dramatic irony, and then there's situational irony. Verbal irony is when a character says something different than what they actually mean. Dramatic irony is when the audience knows something that the character does not. And situational irony is when the opposite happens of what the audience expects. Now, in the spirit of How to Read Literature Like a Professor by Thomas C. Foster, the first time you read through the chapter, you're like, wow, that makes absolutely no sense. And the title of the chapter literally has no merit over what the actual chapter talks about. But don't let that discourage you, because the chapter goes over the meaning of irony takes precedence over everything else. For example, Thomas Foster takes us through a scenario where our character crashes into a billboard but is saved by a seatbelt. Before he has the option to take off his seatbelt and escape the situation, the billboard teeters and falls on him, killing him. Irony. The irony in this situation is when the audience expects the character to be safe because seatbelts save lives and he was saved from the initial crash, but he dies anyway. Yikes. Another important part of this chapter is the concept of dual awareness. Dual awareness takes place on the author's side of literature, and if the author knows the expected outcome, they can use irony to change the direction or the outcome or whatever. For example, in Clockwork Orange, Alex, the character, is symbolically a Christ figure. He's really bad at it, though, because he kills and rapes a bunch of people. At least that's what the book says. I haven't actually read Clockwork Orange, but that's what Thomas C. Foster says, and he's good or whatever. The overall meaning of the chapter, though, is that irony is a powerful literary device. It can change the meaning of a symbol, that actually changing the symbol. It can change the direction of a story. It can twist our expectations, and we just don't know what's going to happen. And of course, it takes precedence over every other literary device. Thanks for watching.